set, Jordy.
Okie doke.
If you haven't already, share your experience in the chat where you're joining from. I will keep an eye on the chat as we go, and we'll jump in.
All right. So I'll just start with the slides, I assume.
Well, yeah, if you just go to the next one.
Okay, yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
So for today, welcome everybody to the SEO plus Performance plus CMS Hug. We're so happy to have you here today. We're going to do some quick intros. Jordy has put together some slides for the core web vitals. So we've got largest contentful paint, interaction to next paint, and cumulative layout shift. We're not going to spend a ton of time on the slides because we know slides are boring. And then he's going to do a screen share and show you some really cool stuff that he's working on with Core Web Vitals and how you can leverage them. Hopefully we'll have time for some questions at the end. If anybody wants to jump on camera and chat with us, we'd love that. We'll have resources and we will share the recording in the end. So for those of you who are not Hub members, or if this is your first Hug event with me, I am Jennifer Nixon. I've been using HubSpot for about 8 years and building websites for over 25. I live in Temple, Texas, which is about an hour north of Austin. And I am currently the delivery lead for Aptitude 8. Also a HubSpot community champion, so you might see me around the HubSpot community and on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me, and I'd love to meet you. And we have joining us today, Jordy from RUMVision, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yes. Yeah, thanks. First of all, thanks for the invite, of course. Really cool to share some knowledge on the Core Web Vitals. But as Jennifer already mentioned, not too much slides, but let's dive into the fun stuff really soon. But a short introduction of myself. My name is Jordy Scholing, but most English people or German people probably say Jordy or Jordy, something like this. It's both fine. I am the head of customer success for RUMVision, and I do also a lot of web performance consulting over there. I live in Groningen in the Netherlands. So yeah, most people only know Amsterdam when we talk about Netherlands, maybe Utrecht, but Groningen is like, in the top right of the country. It's like a big city, big student city, but around the city is like, not a lot of stuff happening. I finished a graphic design study around 3 years ago. Yeah, to be honest, I took a little bit of time for this study, enough time to find out that I did not really like it, but still it's a good background to have, I think. I started a web shop, and that is also how I rolled in web performance. Because if you have your own web shop, you have to do anything yourself: analytics, SEO, SEA, and apparently Core Vitals. And around 2.5 years ago, I already also started at RUMVision. And 1 year ago, I became, or a little bit over 1 year ago maybe, I became a Google developer expert for the specific technology web performance. So that's also a proud moment for me. Next slide. So there's a lot of stuff going on when we are talking about performance. Like when you scroll through LinkedIn and even Twitter, you see a lot of Lighthouse screenshots. That is part of performance when we're talking about Lighthouse. There's Core Web Vitals, which is also part of the PageSpeed Insights report, but this is the part where it says Core Web Vitals assessment failed or passed. Web performance, page speed, site speed, perceived performance, like how we sometimes focus a little bit too much on metrics, while the perceived performance might be a little off then still. So there's a lot of terms for performance, but when I talk about real user experiences, I use just Core Web Vitals and PageSpeed in general. It's always a little bit of people that are skeptic about performance, like it is a ranking signal or factor, and Google currently or recently added it to their documentation. But I believe not a lot of SEO people are massively focusing on Core Web Vitals to improve rankings. But the reason why we as RUMVision and I am passionate about web performance is that it has a big overlap with user experience. So yeah, we all tend to spend more or buy sooner at a fast website. It leads to more visitors or repeat visitors, lower bounce rates, signups, conversions, revenue, and eventually maybe search engine traffic. Yeah, there's a lot of case studies out there. I am really data driven, so I love case studies when they are reliable. So I mainly refer to the ones that Google is putting out, because yeah, I don't trust all the sources online. That's a good thing, I think. Yeah, performance in 2024. Like, I am just 25, so I cannot say like, oh, back in the days, because back in the days I was like 12 maybe. Um,
That's okay. I'll say it for you.
okay,
Back
so
in
back
the
in the day,
day.
thank you. So we had shitty internet, like maybe I don't know how old people in the chat, but I don't know the English word for it, but you had to call in to use internet,
Yes.
something via
Did
the
you ever
phone
have
line.
dial-up? Probably not, right? No, you're
No,
too
the
young.
yeah, dial up like ADSL. I did ADSL is the first thing I used,
Okay.
and yeah, I don't know. I was a gamer since forever, and then I pirated games. I think a lot of people did, and then you had to wait like 12 hours or something for a game of 2 gigabytes, and now yeah, 2 gigabytes. I don't know, 5 minutes or something on fiberglass or whatever, Starlink. I don't know if people are using that in the USA. But yeah, like even though we have, okay, remember getting yelled at. Oh, RuneScape. Yeah, I played a lot of RuneScape for sure. uh, uh, uh. Did dial-up actually, was dial-up fast enough for RuneScape, or became RuneScape after dial-up was a thing? Now I'm curious. Not being you. That struggle is, I'm too young for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you would expect, like with the tools we have, with the internet connections we have these days, like 5G, Wi-Fi 6, routers at home, which are like $200 for a router. But still, internet is not really fast yet. Like some might argue that it's faster than back in the days. Some say it's slower. Yeah, we have a lot of solutions. Like maybe this is still before my time in e-commerce and web space. AMPs from Google, probably a well-known thing. Like some news sites are still using it. To be honest, it's probably died out because it has a lot of restrictions for developers. But Google made a lot of efforts to have accelerated mobile pages because mobiles are slower than desktops, and we want fast loading pages on a mobile as well. WebP as an image format, yeah, thank you for that. But still, we as developers find ways to mess it up anyways. PWAs and SPAs really fast, like app-like feelings. But now with the interaction to next paint there, we have some kind of struggles with SPAs. Like React is a good example. Like everything is relying on JavaScript and big chunks and bundles. And for the interaction to next paint, that is actually not too good of thing. Bundling stuff, advanced bundling, CDNs, HTTP2. We currently have HTTP3 already, which not a lot of websites are using. As I said, 5G. So yeah, we have all the tools to make fast websites, but still, we aren't there yet. So at the end of the slides, I'm happy to show you the HTTP archive. Maybe some of you are familiar with it. It's really cool, but I won't spoil it too much. So yeah, Google gave us really good tools for measuring web performance. Like they introduced Core Web Vitals a few years ago. IMP became a definite Core Web Vital in March this year. Timed first byte came a little bit later. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there are 3 metrics that decide whether you fail or pass the Core Web Vitals, and that are the large contentful paint. So I have an example, but most of you might be familiar with it. But it tracks the time it takes as the largest image or text block to be rendered on the screen. And this CNN timeline shows it. Like in the beginning, we have little headline visual stories. Then we have the heading 1 for the article, still loading, and then bang, an image pops up. So if a user is waiting until this point, this big image is bigger than the text. So that is the largest contentful paint. Sometimes this part might be the largest contentful paint, because what a lot of people don't know is that LCP stops being measured when a user interacts with the website by clicking or scrolling. So let's say if I start scrolling at the third screenshots, my LCP element and the one that will be reported to Google is the who has qualified for blah, blah, blah. So it's really interesting that Lighthouse and other tools, GTmetrix, show only one specific image or text as an LCP, while in reality there might be 2 to 5 LCP candidates, and it depends on the user. For the largest content paint, there's a set of thresholds, like you want to be in the good part, in the need improvements is also fine, but poor, so above 4 seconds, is, in my opinion, not necessary anymore. And I think 2.5 seconds is actually a good threshold. Yeah, that's also true. There's a lot of nuances. I can even give a webinar about the LCP alone, but that will be boring soon. So yeah, these are the thresholds Google sets, and you have to remember that everything that Google considers is on the 75th percentile. So only the best 75% experience of your users. When I do web performance stuff or audits, I like to set the percentile a little bit higher, like maybe to 85, so that I make sure that 85% of the users have a good LCP. Then, yeah, the interaction to next paint. A lot of different opinions about it. Like, I am also in the Core Web Vitals user group or feedback group, I think. I'm messing up user group because I'm currently in a user group. And yeah, when IMP became a thing, like, Google got bashed really hard because people didn't find the 200 milliseconds threshold fair. And it were mostly publishers that had issues with this. Also other sites, but publishers tend to be hurt the most because their website is full with ad providers and iframes and JavaScript and pre-bidding. So they had a hard time and still have a hard time fixing IMP. I will show you a demo of the interaction to next paint at the end, but it's basically a responsiveness metric. So when you are clicking on a navigation on mobile, a hamburger menu, how fast does it actually collapse, or the other way around? Yeah, the famous threshold, so 200 milliseconds, under that is good. In my experience, most e-commerce, like e-commerce is a little bit harder than a website, in my opinion. Their IMP hangs around, although if it's in the good bucket, it's mainly around 180. So no one is actually nailing it. It's always on the edge of failing. Often, unfortunately, I still see a lot of poor IMPs, like even 1+ seconds. And most of the people are in the need improvement bucket. And later on in the webinar, we can show you some stuff in the HTTP archive. And the most frustrating one, in my opinion, I'm curious, like, which one of the 3 core vitals do you find most annoying to experience as a user? Like, for me, it's the layout shift, because, yeah, it might cause a misclick, in example. Yeah, and this little screenshot, like, it's a focus on visual stability of your web pages, tracks how often unexpected layer shifts occur during the loading or interaction with a web page. So the page is loading, and I've already decided that I want bananas. I'm going to buy them, but bang, an annoying top bar shifts the rest of the page down. So everything below the open in app is being pushed down, and then my buy now or add to cart button is pushed aside. This is a really extreme example. Sometimes it goes really fast, sometimes it's a little bit slower. there's a lot of different ways CLS can occur. And for me, it's like, I always find it a fun puzzle to solve CLS with clients of ours. CLS is different in another way, like with the other metrics, we are using milliseconds. For the IMP, we are just using 0.1 up to 1.0, I believe. And under 0.1 is good, above 0.25 is poor, and in between is needs improvement. So yeah, I think low-hanging fruits for CLS can be tackled rather easily, but if you want to fix a 0.05 CLS, you might have to, I don't know, decide whether it's worth your time. Let's see what chat says. Amount of time that was shifting on a recipe. Oh yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, and then the ads gets loaded in dynamically, like via Freebit. So yeah, what about the 100 Lighthouse score? I don't know if some of you follow me on LinkedIn, but I've had my opinions about it. Like, I'm sometimes have a discussion with the guy from Google as well. He thinks I'm a Lighthouse hater or something. It's just an inside joke. It's nothing serious, but I don't like it when people show off their Lighthouse score and then their real user experience still have a bad experience. Because Lighthouse is a really good tool to show if you followed best practices. But as you might know, in some spaces, people tend to fake the Lighthouse score by doing dirty tricks like setting a huge SVG. Currently, this is not doable anymore because it's patched by Google or something. But you can just lazy load all your JavaScript until the user interaction, have a good Lighthouse score, but your user will have a bad experience. And sometimes people go to this depth to have a good Lighthouse score, while in reality, the real core web vitals based on field data should matter more for conversion and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you're not chasing perfection or a score, that you're really paying attention to what the Lighthouse results are telling you and understanding what they mean and whether the implications of improving it will make your user experience better or worse. And there's always a trade-off between content and performance. And a blank website page is going to have the best Lighthouse score and it's going to give you absolutely no value.
Nope. So yeah, I think John Mueller from Google also said it, like it can be a tiebreaker. Like if content and other stuff is even and this site has a better core web vitals, it might outrank them. But how big is the chance that all other signals are even? So I might, yeah, shoot myself in the feet. I don't know if that's an expression in English. In Dutch it is, but it's not used for SEO. So the Lighthouse score is not taken into account for SEO at all, unfortunately. Otherwise it'd be easy. And also, like when we go to PageSpeed Insights or GTmetrix or any other tools, I really love the tools, but it's still hard to determine on which device you're testing because real users have all sort of devices, internet speed. Like if you have a .com domain, you have people entering from Netherlands, Florida, India, Spain, and in India the performance is a little bit worse because their internet infrastructure is not as developed as ours in Europe and probably most part of the USA. And that's really there's also a really great article which I will share at the end, like the performance inequity gap. There's actually, you know this one, it's really cool, and yeah, it's sometimes painful to see like how much things we don't take into consideration when building websites for visitors. Yeah, performance is also an ongoing process. Like I can launch my website today, hand it over to the merchant, and the merchant hires a marketing team. Yeah, I love marketers, but some of them are not that performance minded, and I wouldn't be aware of it either. But they just add stuff like A/B testing, heat mapping, chat widgets. I said here, like there's a lot of stuff that comes into play every month or every week, depends on how big your project is. But third parties and changes are always happening. And even smallest changes can hurt your performance. Like if you introduce heat mapping and you think, let's set the sampling rate for my heat map at 30%, I can guarantee you that the IMP will, other way around, skyrocket, because there's a lot of JavaScript being injected. Your cursor is being followed by something, and that messes up with the interaction to next paint. But still, heat mapping is valuable for CRO, and they can make changes based on the insights they gather from heat mapping, and then increase performance with their insights. So there's always a fine line between how important is performance versus insights on user behavior. I think you can have both, like just setting up heat mapping for a short period of time on a low sampling rate, get rid of it as soon as possible and use the insights you have, and then make changes to your site and then test again, for example. So yeah, JavaScript, it's a fun thing, and without JavaScript we wouldn't have those beautiful pages, but it can be a pain in the ass for me as a web performance consultant. Audience matters. I already said this a bit, but also, like, if we go to Google and search for Crocs, I don't know, it was the first thing that popped in my mind. I will have a lot of sponsored content. When I click on the sponsored content, my URL will be different than when I click to the result directly, because there's this parameters, queries, tracking stuff happening. And the performance for ad visitors is different than people that just organically go to the site, because those ad tracking stuff also adds up to the time to first byte of your website, so the overall loading time. And it's also small things that can make a difference in web performance. And that is also why I love it. You can push it to really far limits. And yeah, that's basically that part.
Awesome. We did have one question while you're switching over to screen share. Anton was asking what you think
Okay.
about ghost loading or skeleton loading in
Okay.
terms of LCP and other Google speed metrics.
That really depends on the project, but I don't see it that often anymore, because I think you could still load the image rather fast. But I have to say, like, if you have to wait on an image, it's better to have a skeleton than nothing at all, because it might then cause layout shifts, for example. So with the skeleton loading, from UX perspective, you ensure the client that something is coming, maybe at the spinner. But in my opinion, you can just have an image right there immediately. If you have to wait for maybe a product listing page, you have a lot of products that might be dynamically injected based on personalization, then I think it's a good thing. But it wouldn't be my first approach, actually. I will try other things before switching over to that.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you want to jump over to the screen share, Anton says thank you as well. So that was, I hope, really helpful for everybody to understand the base definitions. We will have these resource slides available, the resource links, available in the slides that I send out afterwards. Jordy is going to share a little bit more about how to check core web vitals, and I'm going to let him jump right into it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second, then share my whole screen. Although, my whole window. Oh, this is creepy.
Yes, we got the Pink Floyd effect.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I'm switching my other tab to my second screen so I can see you still. Edward liked it.
If you didn't, I mean, the tool that we use is Bevy, and there are some very interesting settings for presenters. So just bear with us. It is a little bit challenging to get everything set up.
Okay, let's see. Okay, this is working. Okay, so for you guys, it's really cool to start out with web performance, and like there's a lot of free tools on the internet you can use. Like you don't have to jump for a paid tool immediately, because who likes paying for a tool? So yeah, assume PageSpeed Insights. PageSpeed. I don't even know the URL. I always Google it. What is it? PageSpeed.web.dev. So HubSpot.com. It's running an analysis. This top part is what makes me happy because it's based on real users. You can switch to the origin or exact URL. I think most people will be familiar with this. There's also the Lighthouse audit, which is always taking a long time to load recently. I don't know what it is, but it's slower since a few months for me.
Yeah, I think it's getting bogged down and used by a lot of people now.
Yeah, so you can already see like a difference. Like, let's see, total blocking time might have an indication on your IMP. Well, the IMP is 321. CLS is 0.01, like 0.01. This is not the best example, I'm going to be honest, but the first Contentful paint is 2.9, while in reality it's 4.3. So those scores for metrics, they don't say a lot to me, but things below the fold like reduce JavaScript execution time can also be a little bit nuanced because you don't know how much impact it's going to have on your real audience. Large contentful paint. This is actually pretty cool because a large contentful paint is basically 4 phases. So you start out with the timed first byte, then the loading, downloading, etc., and rendering. So sometimes you can see if the render delay is really high, you might have to deal with a lot of render blocking stuff. So my first thing is like, not for me, but I will say like for 95%, this is the best approach when you want a starting point for web performance. But also look at this and not go up or don't optimize for the performance score alone. And in my opinion, also management should also look at this instead of the one below the fold. Then, we have built the UX score checks, which is pretty cool. It also works with the PageSpeed Insights or the Crux API, the Chrome User Experience Database. And this is basically a fancier tool, in my opinion, where you get the score, but then the score is based on your real audience. And wow, we've reached 10,000. Yeah, nice. I actually was having a bet internally if we had 10,000 domains by the end of the week, and we did. So nice. And then you can see how good your domain ranks amongst 10,070 people that also use this test. You can then see the scores right here for homepage, all pages, desktop, and all that stuff. But what Google also gave us this year is 2023, is the Core Web Vitals historical data. So we cannot, or besides getting data as of today, like what I said you in the UX core, we can also see the data up to 6 months in the past. And then you can mature the performance process in your company a little bit more because like, okay, at this point of time, the LCP became a little bit better than the weeks before. Why was this? The easiest way is to be on top of it all the time. But looking at this, you can see like, okay, what's going on? What have we been doing? And where should we work at? Like when I see a high time first byte, this will always be my first approach because a good times first byte will also impact the FCP and the LCP. Competitors. Okay, chat, help me. Name some competitors we can enter here.
Yeah, so we can start with Salesforce. So Salesforce.com.
Okay, nice.
I don't know that they're all one-for-one competitors. You could do Monday.com claims to be a CRM. Again,
okay, Marketo, I see. What's their domain?
Marketo, yeah.
Oh, wait, it's just this thing?
Yeah, it's not really like a...
Okay, we'll just enter business.adobe.com. See. Okay. Let's do, I don't know, WordPress. I have no clue. I'm just adding
Yeah, I
stuff.
guess. Zoho,
Is that just with?
Pipedrive.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is a good starting
Good.
point. Like, we've created this tool so you can easily share or look at your competitors' core vitals and compare them with your own. Yeah, unfortunately, Adobe is on top, even though their website is not really good. If we look at the FCP, we can see that their overall UX score is 73 compared to the other ones. You can see the IMP, but what I like to look at is like this little timeline. So you can then have a visual of where you stand, and maybe the right side could indicate a finish line, for example. CLS, like all of them are actually in the green. FCP, only WordPress.
That
Uh,
slider is really awesome. That is really
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I think one thing to point out though is all of them are failing on Core Web Vitals, and these are huge major brands. So just remember what you're working toward and what's important, right? Like
yeah.
Core Web Vitals are not the only metric that matter.
No, like they are, all of them make billions of dollars. And
Right.
like I wouldn't argue that if their website was a little bit faster, it might be a little, it's not going to make a huge difference. It won't be trillions instead, but it's definitely for UX a good thing to point out. But nice said, Jennifer. It's like all of them are successive brands, which is RUMVision is like a, I don't know, mini school compared to them. And I think our website, I don't know how high we score. I
Yeah,
hope we
it's
score
something
good.
to keep in mind for sure when you're looking at competitors, yeah. When you're looking at competitors, are you looking at people who are a similar size as you? And if you're going after somebody who's bigger, keep
Yeah,
that in mind that their, efforts are different than yours, or they may not focus on it so much. So it doesn't have to be the driving force for what you're working towards. But this is a
yeah,
good example too here.
yeah. Like Red Bull is on the track. I have no idea if they're like Formula One fans in the chat, but Red Bull, although not this season maybe, and I might be biased because Max Verstappen is Dutch, but they are not fastest on the web. McLaren is having major layout shifts, but yeah, overall they are averaging like 60 super max. Yeah, nice. I've also like other comparisons. Let's see.
Um,
Booking sites.
yeah, so
Uh,
Diego is asking if it's
oh,
possible to import the data. So are you asking if you can import who your competitors are and then run them? Because I think it's 5, right? You can add 5. Export. Okay. So can you export?
we don't have an export function, but what might be interesting for you is to. I'm just going to make an incognito tab. All of you can basically do this for free. Create an account at insights.rumvision. Again, it's completely free, so don't worry. You just register. Jordy at
So it
web.
won't share an incognito, just heads up. So we
Oh
can't see
shit.
if you're sharing it.
Okay.
Um,
Again, stop sharing. Share
Yeah, I think
screen.
incognito is blocked from any screen sharing.
Okay. Then
So,
I'll just share my whole screen instead.
yeah,
Yeah, it works.
there you
Okay.
go. Okay.
So if you go to insights.rumvision, register, just going to create a dummy account. What do I say? And then I think you need to have a URL here. Then you have a RUMVision account, and then you have a domain as well. Yeah, this is all the thing you have to pay for. But if we go to competitors, you can add up to 5 competitors for free. So let's say if I zoho.com. Okay, there it is. This will be locked. So instead of having to enter it manually on the site every time you want to check it, you can just enter 5 domains on RUMVision. If you want to have a lot more or a bit more, I think I had it in the slides as well. You can reach out to me. It's free data. It's the only thing that if I give you like 100 competitors, our server load might be screwed if the page has to load with 100 competitors. But the fun part with this is that since I added Soho today, it will keep track of the core vitals as of today. Keep in mind that it's crux data. So if we are looking at the last bar, you don't know the most recent core vitals data. And that is why people tend to use RUM instead, because you can then see real-time insights across all your templates. Even if it's not enough traffic, you can see why the LCP is high. So this is really good stuff. If you want to get started for free.
Yeah.
You
Does
can also,
anybody want to share their website and we can run it
yeah.
through? We'll compare you to HubSpot because we can just drop it in if anybody wants to share. Okay, we've got one. Got two.
Fairy.com.
There you go. Awesome.
If it has enough data, okay. So you have a 0.11 CLS, and it needs to be below 0.10. So you might work a little bit on your CLS and your LCP. Maybe we can look at it in a bit, actually. Also, another site I see.
Yeah. That would be cool to
Why?
see how you take this. Yeah, it looks like we got 2 more. It would be cool to see how you take these results and what you do as your first step. You know, when you see that you're not meeting the threshold, what is the first thing that you do and how do you investigate that?
Okay, re-in-nation is the fastest, so congrats on that. Yeah, I always like, if the client is using RUMVision, I start with that, but none of those are. So then I always start at looking at this data, actually, because this is giving me an idea of where to look at. The sad part is that if it's a big website with a lot of different templates, it might become a little bit harder on where to focus. But let's look at Hager, for example. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong, by the way. Is there a... Which one do I click? Uh-oh. Europe, where you are. Am I blind? Okay, I will
At the
click
top,
Belgium.
yeah. And then
Okay,
wow,
yeah.
talk about a multi-language site. There were so many
Yeah, holy
languages
shit.
there. I mean, that's a lot of languages.
Yeah, I'm still in an incognito tab, so let's switch to this one. What I also done, small plug by the way, is I've built my own extension. So you can click on this icon, I've pinned it, and then it will retrieve the data of the site you're currently on. So that's really easy, so you can just audit every site on the go. But besides that, I really recommend you installing the Web Vitals extension, because this one allows you to log stuff in your console. Is it okay if I share that link in the chat?
Yeah. Share it in the chat, or we can
Okay.
also put it in the resources. So I can grab it too.
Okay, please. And the cool thing is that if you enable console logging, it will basically show you all the metrics of the current load under my conditions. So I'm on a MacBook Air M3. If I toggle it to mobile size, it will also show that. And yeah, easier than this, it doesn't come easier than this. Because we can see that the page loads and then the thingy says, okay, wait, this might be wrong because I clicked the wrong country. Okay, this is not working either. Nederland. NL.nl. Is there? Okay, here. Okay, so what you then can do, for example, is open your console, refresh, and then you could see if there's stuff going on in the console based on the Web Vitals extension. I don't see a lot of stuff going on here. So then I often grab my performance or performance insights in DevTools. For CLS, I like to use network throttling. CPU throttling is not really necessary for this. And then I refresh the page. This can take a little bit, but let's see what happens. Clean my tabs in the meantime.
Yeah, Diego is saying, I saw all the resources loading at the same time. No lazy load applied.
That could be the case. We can look at that. Why is this taking so long? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think this is basically it. Like, there's this text right here. Like, we can all see it happen that it gets pushed down at this moment. And that might just be that the part above it, like all this is reliant on JavaScript. So now my next step would be to press Command or Control Shift P and then type disable JavaScript. JavaScript. How do you pronounce it actually in English? In Dutch, it's just like JavaScript.
In English, JavaScript.
JavaScript. Okay. So, so all this content is being added later. Let's enable it again. Okay, so this is rather easy. It are a lot of elements, but you want to make sure that there's a minimal height, like just CSS class like min height applied to this, so that the browser knows reserve space for all of it what's coming in. And then this will be in the correct place from the start. And you said, I say all the resource loading at the same time, no lazy loading applied. Let's see. Okay, so I refresh the page, and this is the first image. Yeah, so there's no lazy loading on it, but what you actually can do, so I'm going to type it in the chat, is add a fetch priority high. Are you guys familiar with this class? And then you can tell the browser that the priority of the image is high. It's pretty obvious. But images below the fold, like this one, is also not lazy loaded. So what Diego is saying is correct. Like, you want to lazy load stuff below the fold so that you have more resources available in the browser for more important stuff. And the good thing is, like, we've already native lazy loading. Yeah, we used to use JavaScript libraries for this, but now it's a browser feature already, so it's really nice.
Awesome. That was really cool. I hope that was helpful for everybody to see kind of what that first step is when you get these results, and then how do you investigate it and figure out what the best way forward is. Are there any other questions, or is there anything else you guys would like to see? We have about 12 minutes left. So would love to hear from you guys if there's something specific you want to see, if you have questions. Otherwise, we'll let Jordy keep going through.
I'm distracted.
That's okay. You keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Looking at this page. Like, the first thing I always do is just reload stuff, and somehow the logo was late in display, so it's not the case. Like, there's some stuff, like really dumb stuff, like not on this page, but you always just check for lazy loaded stuff. You can look at the page source, like are there preloads as preloads? There's not any preloads on this page, so you might use preload for some stuff. You can also use speculation rules, which I will also put in the chat. Speculation rules API. And that is, I think Diego said something about it as well. Like with the prefetch. with the speculation rules API, you can add some inline code. Speculation rules API. And what it does, you are literally like speculating to which page your user will go when they enter the home page. So for example, if I go to the RUMVision website, I can go to my analytics and I know that 80% of the users will go to our pricing page. So I can already, like when I'm on my homepage, I can actually already pre-render or pre-fetch the pricing page because data shows users will go there. Then when they go to the pricing page, everything has already happened, or like the HTML is there already, like maybe some images or JavaScript is there already. And then the loading time is way faster. And this is, in my opinion, one of the bigger things for performance in 2024, because this will, improve time first byte, LCP, and all that stuff actually. For images that are shown once you hover. Okay, I would like to know how to apply lazy load for images that are shown once you hover, for example, in a menu on the initial viewport. Is this optimal? Okay, wait, I have to read it again. This is just my brain. Okay, I would like to know that are shown once you hover, for example. Okay, so let's say okay, like here. Like you mean like would you lazy load this image or not? Is that your question? Okay, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would lazy load that. Because if I enter this page, my first thing is I'm just scanning the page for book event, looking at the navigation, but I don't think, and that's again like where I would use data to see, are people already clicking here and how big is the image? Like even if it's lazy loaded and I will go to here, it might be there already because it's like a thumbnail. Yeah. I don't know why it's so big, but it could be way smaller because it's 424 by 424, while in the viewport it is, let's see. Oh, this is annoying. What is the shortcut for this again? Control Shift I or something? Like, I don't know everything. But yeah, I would lazy load that. Yep. I think I had a case like this today, but that was more of the LCP. Because if we are traveling, jeez, if we are going to this website, my LCP will probably be the video or the poster image of the video. But there's a browser bug that when I'm scrolling to your website, or like indeed I open the navigation instantly, this might replace the LCP. And that's actually weird because I already started interacting with your web page. So my LCP should be done because the most important image for me is already loaded since I start interacting with all the stuff. And there's a browser bug that sometimes the LCP keeps counting stuff like this and then applies this as an LCP candidate. And for UX, it's not that bad. For Google scores and the values it is, because I'm going to here way later than I'm here, for example. And, sorry, now I'm distracted again. I had a colleague build a small demo, and maybe you can help me with what's the URL. Slack. You can notice I'm a chaotic person, probably.
That's all right.
I had him wrap this up today because I wanted to show it to you during this webinar. So times first byte and IMP are not finished yet, but LCP and CLS are. I'm going to do this in a browser, incognito browser tab. And we have this large contentful paint with an example and an improved one. So when I click this, we can look at the code and do a little bit of throttling. You can see what the effect is if the LCP is lazy loaded, and don't get me wrong, this is a really extreme example. And this image is like, what is it? Okay, the size is not that big, but still it's being lazy loaded. And then it's really slow. Also below here, images are lazy loaded. And that is fine because they are below the fault. But when we are looking at the improved version, still shit. Wait. This is a demo build today, so it might be a little bit awkward. Yeah, he removed the lazy load, but kept the lazy load on this one's looking at it. Yeah. So when I scroll, those come into frame, and when we look at the browser console, we probably see two images appearing when I'm scrolling. Okay, I'm badly prepared for this demo, so I'm going to look at the CLS.
That's okay. This is awesome. Maybe we can share the link so that everybody can kind of take a look at the before and after themselves and
Yes,
see
please.
the impact. Um,
Yeah,
Brian
for
had,
CLS is pretty obvious, I think.
yeah. Brian has a question about Webflow and if their infrastructure makes it harder to have a healthy site. I will say from my experience, I've had quite a few migrate from Webflow to HubSpot because they reached a point where they could not do anything to improve or optimize. I think.
Yeah, you want an honest opinion or want me to sugarcoat it?
No, go ahead. We speak truth here, right?
Okay. I'm forced to. I feel. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I feel you. And like Webflow, again, it's a great product because their revenue is huge. They are having a lot of big clients. And the good thing about stuff like this, there's also like other tools that tend to do the same as Webflow, but it's really easy to set up a website. So if you have a marketer that wants to have a custom landing page, it's easier to build this with Webflow than knocking at the developer's door and make him or her build a website. And in my opinion, when you're doing that, it's fine. But since it's so easily, since it's rather easy to build a web page and it's flexible for all users, like, yeah, I don't know how much development knowledge you need for Webflow. Probably you can do some custom styling and stuff. But for web performance, yeah,
And you're
I
kind of
would never
locked in.
recommend it.
Yeah, they have
Sorry?
themes. They have themes, and it's all front end. So there's not a lot that you can do. Even the dev side, when you create a theme in Webflow, you're very limited to what you can control.
Okay, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I can show one thing actually.
I
Okay.
would be curious, has anybody run Webflow's website? I mean, I imagine Webflow.com is built on Webflow. Let's see how it fares.
Ironically.
Yeah.
So I can actually look up like how well Webflow is performing. So if I enter Webflow, okay, and then I want to see their data alone. I can see that 57% of the Webflow sites are passing corrupt vitals out of 55 origins. We could also look at how their LCP, CLS, and IMP is. Yeah, we can see that for what am I looking at? Origins, like, okay, 56% is having or passing corrupt vitals. CLS is not a major issue for their platform. IMP might be. So yeah, it's not too bad, but I think you can tweak it looking at the numbers, and I think they've made some improvements. Like when they started out, it was just 30%. So I don't have anything bad to say about them, by the way, but I think they just had a lot of feedback from clients and started improving their overall web performance. Justin Welsh.
Yeah. So his site's really fast, but it's text-based, and most Webflow sites that I see have a lot of animation. They have a lot of what do you call it? I'm spacing on the name of it. The animations. There's a whole library of them.
Oh, GSAP or something?
No. Why is it not?
Yeah, but the thing is like,
Lottie animations. So like they have web
yeah,
animations, they've got Lottie animations, they've got videos, background images. He has no background. It's all color and text and like 4 images.
yeah. But even though like, if you build this website in plain HTML or just a simple CMS, it would be 2 or 3 times as fast and still
Yeah.
look the same. But that's what I'm thinking. Like, it is a fast website, but given the content on it, it can actually be way faster. Who's this guy even? Is he like a famous dude?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
He just I don't know. All right, but yes, I think this is a good example of the bloat that CMS can cause, like from Webflow, right? You have a very
Yep.
basic site that could be performing better on another CMS. This is really cool though, what you were sharing, because this is across all Webflow sites and like how they perform.
Yeah, we can do this for anything like Next.js. Think. What have they done? Okay, so the blue chart is Next.js. So this is actually really interesting. And again, I'm not a Next.js hater, but I'm just literally stating the facts that when IMP was the core web vital yet, 30% of their website was passing the core web vitals. But because it's so heavy in JavaScript, then it dropped 10%. For example, Webflow only dropped 3% when IMP became one.
Yeah. Can you pull the HubSpot CMS? Yeah.
Wait, is it like CMS Hub or just HubSpot?
No, I don't know why it says CMS Hub. I guess we could try that.
We do both. Okay, HubSpot is the blue. Oh, sorry. What am I
Yeah,
doing?
so it's hard to tell. It looks like it's the orange, the CMS Hub one.
Yeah, I
But
think if it's HubSpot, it takes all origins that use anything HubSpot related. So that's not a fair comparison.
yeah.
So let's see. What am I doing?
Ah,
HubSpot. Okay, let's
yeah, it
refresh.
grabbed everything, I think.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
That's probably too many. All right. Well, I do want to say I apologize, guys. We are over by about 2 minutes. I understand
Okay,
a
sorry.
few people already dropped. But just to wrap things up, thank you, Jordy, so much for being here and having this
No.
for us and sharing your expertise. We will share all of the slides and recording. I'll get that sent out tomorrow. Appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. And if you want to have like a chat about web performance on your website, I can always like in a session like this. I cannot do a lot, but I always love to help people. Like if it's an obvious thing, I will help you for sure. And I
Awesome.
saw like Diego's question. You can send me an email at
Yes.
Jordy at
We will
RUMVision.com.
capture that. Thank you all
But
so
those
much.
seem like good things.
Yes. All right. Thank you again. I'm going to stop recording now.
Yes. Thanks, guys.